Hello, my mathematicians. This is Miss Foster with a very exciting announcement that the last week of school, we are going to have a very special Wellington Lower School Jaguar Origami Festival, and you are invited. We're going to be folding lots of different versions of Jaguars, from very easy to much more complicated, and you are invited to join me. And I hope that you will come. Now, it will all be online, and in order for you to join me, you're going to have to get ready. And that means you're going to need to have some origami paper around. Now, at my house, we have some origami paper that we bought that looks like this. It's got a color on one side and a pattern on the other. Some origami papers have a pattern or a color on one side and white on the other. I don't have that right now. And your family could decide that they want to order this online or go to a bookstore or a craft store where they think you can pick some up. But perhaps you don't want to do that, or you can't do that. This video is not just to announce our special project, but to show you how we can take a regular 11-inch by 8.5-inch piece of copy paper and fold it so that we have a square. You're going to need paper and scissors, and you might want to get a pen. In this video, I will also be reviewing some very important geometric vocabulary and showing some important folding strategies that we will be using even if you buy your paper instead of cut it, so you might want to stay around for the next few minutes. You can see my face now, but I'm going to turn my camera down so you can see my paper. So in order to take this rectangle and make it into a square, we are going to take the short edge of the rectangle and we are going to fold it over so that it is right parallel and adjacent to the long edge. That means we will be folding down a triangle and our crease will go right about here. Now, I just used some important geometric vocabulary words. Adjacent means right next to. So here I have a red piece of paper and a blue piece of paper. Right now, these papers are not adjacent to each other because they aren't so close that they can touch. But if I put them right next to each other like this, they are, because they're touching right there along that edge. Another word that I used is parallel. Parallel lines go in exactly the same direction. And that means that they are equidistant or an equal distance apart from each other. Right now, the red and the blue paper are parallel. Because they're adjacent and they've got their edges right together, both edges are going in exactly the same direction. But if I pull them apart a little bit, they are no longer adjacent, but if the space between them, measured at more than one place, is still equal, then they're still parallel. Now, these are not parallel. You can tell that if we kept the lines going, they would intersect. But to make them parallel, I will just need to turn it so that they have an equal distance between them. So the last thing I want to tell you about is I'm going to be really paying attention to this corner right here. If I fold this short edge so that it comes parallel and adjacent to the long edge, this corner will be very pointy. So let's see. When I fold it over into a triangle like this, is this adjacent and parallel? No. The edge of this paper is not sitting right next to the one underneath it. What if I do it like that? Will that work? No, it won't. If I lift it up a little bit, you can see the shadow right there. The edges are not touching, and this is not pointy right here. So I'm going to just fold this over and gently slide the paper up, and my eyeballs are looking right here right now. I'm trying to push the paper very slowly to make sure it's very pointy there. Ooh, that looks good. Now I'm going to check over here, and wow, I don't know if you can see it, but it is very adjacent and parallel. So I got it to the right place. Now I have to crease it. So with one finger, I am pressing down very hard to hold it in place. And then I take my other finger, and right in the middle, I'm pressing down very hard. Now let me show you. My arm is up in the air like this so that the whole weight of my arm is pushing down there. And that's to hold the edge in place. I'm doing the same on both fingers. Now, this finger is holding the paper down while this guy is going to pull this back. Let me line this up again. I'm sorry about that. Pulling it back to the crease where we're going to be creasing it down, and then the other finger comes back, still pressing down very hard. The second finger will hold the paper in place while this one will push the crease all the way to the edge. And I don't know if you can see it, but it went out of alignment there. Oh dear, it's not pointy. That's okay. I can come over here and just adjust it a little bit. We often do this in origami when we realize we've made a little mistake. We can make a little adjustment. But now I have to recrease it, and that's all right too. Let's see how I did. That mistake just wanted to stay with me this time. If I hold it all down, if I push the crease, aha, finally got it just right. Now, when we are folding origami together, we are not going to do our creases just once. We are going to go over them over and over to make them razor sharp. Origami is a Japanese art form, and if you were as into Ninjago when you were little, or perhaps you still are, as my children were when they were little, then you know that in Japan they have ninjas, and ninjas fight with these really sharp swords called katanas. Well, we need your creases as sharp as a katana. Yeah. And one way to do that is to go over it more than once, but another way is to take your fingernail or your thumbnail and turn it over and press down on it and go over the crease with your fingernail upside down. So, having done that, you can see that the edge right here has made a line. I'm going to take a pen and run the pen along the line here. And if I hold everything right and cut on that line, I should have a square or something very close to it. Now, when we are cutting, we always want the scissors facing away from ourselves. And where we're going to look is right in the place where the scissors are pinching the paper and cutting it. That's where my eyeballs are looking. The scissors point away, I'm going slowly, and I'm watching right where the scissors, the two shiny parts, are pinching together. That way I can be sure to keep my scissors right on the line. And I'm not going to go fast because this is a very precise art form. And so I want my paper to be as close to a perfect square as possible. And there we have a square. Now you are welcome to use this size, but I will tell you that for me, this is a little big, and I would like for these folds for my squares to be smaller. So now I'm going to show you how we can fold this square and cut it into 4 smaller squares. And to do that, I'm going to take my square and fold it in half the rectangle way. As with the triangle fold, I'm going to go edges to edges. Whoops, that's not right. Corners to corners. Nope, not yet. Making sure that all of my edges now, not just this one, but on the sides too, are all of my edges parallel and adjacent. It seems to me that they are. So once again, I'm pressing down hard with my fingers. I hold it in place. I pull one finger back to the crease and the other finger back to the crease. One finger off all the way to the edge and back to hold the paper. The other finger all the way off and back. And then I'm going to once again go over this at least 3 times. I've gotten to the point where I like to go over it twice with my fingernail. Now we have just created what we call a mountain fold. I am going to help my paper understand that it can fold like a mountain, but also it can fold like a valley. To do that, I'm going to flatten my paper out, and on the same crease, I'm going to fold it in the opposite direction. Now, luckily for me, my first fold means that all I really have to do is get it lined up and just help the paper understand, hey, paper, you can fold this way and that way. Valley fold and mountain fold. I think I've done a good enough job here that I can just follow my crease line and I don't have to draw anymore. I can just use my scissors. I'm still going slowly. I've still got the scissors facing away from me. And my eyes are right where the shiny parts are pinching the paper together to cut it. And I'm staying on that crease. And see, we cut it into 2 very nice rectangles, which are congruent. And that means they are exactly the same shape, exactly the same size. Congruent. Now, I don't need rectangles though, because I need origami squares. So to fold it into a square, I'm going to take my rectangle and fold it in half into a square, or sometimes we call this the hamburger way. Yes, once again, I'm really looking up here. I'm trying to match my edges to edges, my corners to corners. I'm going to check the sides. Are they also adjacent and parallel? And if so, 2 fingers down, 1 finger back, pressing down hard, the other back pressing down hard, 1 finger all the way to the edge and come back, 1 finger all the way. Don't be like my son. He kind of lets go there. You want to go all the way. And then of course I'm going to go right ahead and go over that crease at least 2 more times. When I open it up, I have this nice fold that I can cut on. But Miss Foster, one of those squares has a diagonal fold on it. Don't worry, we're actually going to use that fold. So really, you don't need to worry about that at all. And that leaves me with 2 smaller pieces of origami paper. Now, I hope you can see that if we were to do the same thing to this side, we would have 4 pieces of origami paper. And I've actually already done that. In any case, my friends, that's how you get origami paper. Hey, thanks for playing folding and cutting origami paper with me. All of the words and vocabulary I used, all of the folding techniques that I showed you today, we will use those for our special Jaguar's Origami Festival. I'm so excited. So I hope that you will choose to join me, and I hope that you will have origami paper ready. Bye-bye for now.